Assassin's Promise by Thomas Woodward, Chapter 153. An enchanting melody played through the somber mist-tread pines, bearing silent reverence to the swaying of ageless docks, their own timbers old beyond remembrance. The words of a great sailor, Esef, poet unknown. Dragonflies buzzed about loudly in my ears as I opened my eyes to the bright rays of sun that crept into the darkened barn. I felt carefully about my neck, glad to find it still intact. My sense of worry remained from challenging Stannon. I couldn't banish that singular cold black eye that had regarded me levelly on the day that I had left the village in the desert. Would he turn on me? Would I even know it when it happened? But I needed Stannon. There was still so much I wished to see of this world, and my lack of worldly experience left me dependent on following his lead. I had no coin to boot. I had never stolen before. I opened my palm, concentrating on a point that lay beyond it, as I remembered doing Stannon's bidding, and ultimately stealing from the merchants of the small city we had left days ago. The pain burned in my arm. Refusing to heal, I studied the molten blood that flowed like a river on the surface of my arm. It had never dried, and remained bright as the day it was drawn. The pattern formed a serpent, snaking around, sinuous lines curving to meet one another. The mocking eyes of the merchant who had scribed it into my flesh still haunted my dreams. What did it mean? A gift, he had called it. Wincing in pain, I draped my clothes back into place over my arm. Small streaks of blood bled through the rough fabric. Luckily, I had not bled to death yet, though the wound had refused to heal, keeping its shape. Nothing I had done had managed to stem the flow. The blood stayed on the surface of my arm, unnaturally remaining attached to my body. Some days, it almost appeared to glow. Looking up, I saw Eve standing above me, a playful expression on her face. "Eddie, let us search for food before he rises." She shot a hard look over to the place where Stannon lay, oblivious yet to the world. She held up a hand and placed it on my chest. I could feel the warmth there, for just a moment before she retracted her arm, letting it drop again by her side. "Yes," I agreed, ready to sate my hunger. We would not be gone long. Surely we could risk a small excursion. As we passed out of the entrance to the barn, the rest of the farm pulled into view. A small goat pen was nestled next to a small garden, filled with flowers and strange purple plants that sprouted up from the sandy soil. A stone house greeted us, the face of which had been shaped by endless winds. Smooth stones lined the steps that led up to the simple doorway, no more than a dark slat that was covered by a sheet of lambskin. There was no light coming from inside, but perhaps there was life. Had the people gone in the night? Whom did Stannon worry about paying then? A short, blocky youth moved through the doorway. A scowl seemed to be carved into his rough-hewn face. Tousled dark hair was spilled down his face, almost obscuring his eyes. He stopped. I stopped moving, gently tugging on Eve's arm to pull her to a rest as well. She waited, a questioning look on her face. I pointed to the boy. After a moment, he disappeared neatly back into the blackness of the home, no word having passed between us. "Will he have food, do you think?" Eve asked. "I don't know. Perhaps we can persuade him to part with some for us." It was more of a hope than a statement. My stomach grumbled. "I say we press on." Eve stopped, waiting for me to move further. "You should just kill him and take it. You'll have to learn sooner or later." Stannon's words cut into the silence. "I will not be a murderer," I started to say. "Easy, lad. You've already stolen from me. Someday you will kill. It will become too easy an option to ignore. I won't be like you." "And I say you will." Stannon's words were even and sure. His voice had a mocking tone, and a slow smile spread over his countenance. "Damn you, Stannon." I had to force the words down, cutting off more than I wished to say. Do I really need to show you your place? I'm glad you're finally growing a spine, but you should know better than defy my will. Have you forgotten? There's still so much I can show you. Knowledge that others like you would kill to attain. Do not be so careless with your words. Stannon prowled closer, the stone house forgotten. You need us, or you would have killed us already. Do not think your fate is secure by any means, lad. You tread on dangerous ground. I started backing away unconsciously, even as Stannon slowly narrowed the gap between us. Where is all your boldness gone, all of a sudden? Stannon laughed as he said it, his single dark eye tracking me like a stalking leopard. Stay away from me. I felt ice in my middle even as I spoke. I was a coward after all. I didn't want to die. Deep down, I knew Stannon could snuff my life out like a candle. Eve stepped forward, shifting her arm to intercept Stannon. Stannon hesitated. Damn you, woman. Stay out of this. It came out as a growl. Eve's face remained impassive, but her arm began to glow. Filaments of light began circling with increasing speed. A low hum sounded, the pitch rising steadily as each moment passed. You will not always be there, witch, Stannon spat. I will be there, betrayer. Her words bit like augers. I know of the God you follow. His foul teachings have corrupted more than your mind. Can you not see it? The sight of you turns my stomach. When you are weak, I will come for you. Until then, can you not even bring yourself to kill a child? The blinded God does not care whether those we take are young or old. It is all the same. Turning to me, Stannon said, I can give you the strength to abolish your weakness, to end your foolishness for all time. Perhaps then, someday, you can hope to be an equal. I admit the thought is ridiculous, but you've been useful to me, lad. And now, all you give me is disdain. With a cutting motion towards Eve, he whispered faintly to me, Do not believe her lies. He stalked away then, leaving only the sound of wind blowing against the ancient shutters of the old farmhouse. I turned back to the doorway, intent on discovering what lay beyond. Perhaps Stannon was right in a way, but I could not bring myself to kill. Not yet. I pressed forward. Slowly entering the shadowed doorway, I felt suddenly uncertain. I had no right to enter the house uninvited. But if there was a chance for food, I would take it. Then my eyes adjusted to the darkness. I could see a man and a woman sitting huddled around a table in a room beyond a large stone staircase. The youth we had seen earlier resolved into focus behind them. They sat there holding each other. I knew in a moment I could not steal from these people, but maybe I could ask. Treading slowly, Eve and I moved into the darkened room where the family sat. Something was clearly wrong. Take it and go. Please. The boy's father pointed to a pantry, his arm shaking slightly. Had Stannon done something to them? I trailed off, seeing the hunched, fearful expressions on their faces. Please, don't hurt us. We promise to say nothing to anyone. Anyone. The woman said, the last cutting off in a gasp as her husband gave her a sharp look. Please, just take what you will and go. He looked down, averting my gaze. Why are they so fearful? Eve said in her melodious voice. I think Stannon has threatened them somehow. I thought he paid them last night for our shelter. My words were hollow. Get out, the blocky-faced boy said. Father won't say it, so I will. He stood, glaring at us. Immediately, the boy's father pulled him down to a sitting position. No! Navid, tell them you didn't mean what you said. Please, son. The youth wrestled himself free and ran from the room, blocking the entrance to the pantry. No, father! If they take our food, we will starve. The man didn't answer, but looked down to the table before looking back to me. Please, he doesn't mean it. The man cringed, looking past me towards the doorway. They never learn to keep their pups in line. Stannon approached slowly. As he entered the room, he pulled down the brim of his hat, obscuring his eyes. He pulled a dagger from his belt, and the boy's mother began to scream, her husband pleading with anyone who would listen. In one smooth motion, Stannon raised his arm and released the blade, and blood sprouted from the youth's neck where the steel met flesh. A humming vibration was the first thing my mind registered as the dagger pinned the youth to the wall, where it bit deeply into the wood. The youth stumbled, but was held in place by the neck and made a horrible choking noise as blood spilled down his midsection. Before the adults could rise, Stannon upended the table, pressing his full weight down on one edge, causing the other to smash them brutally about their faces and knocking them backwards. Before scarcely 5 seconds passed, Stannon pulled 2 more knives into one hand, fanning them between his fingers. "No!" Eve shouted. "Do not kill them!" It was too late. The deadly flight had already begun, neatly catching the father in his chest and his wife in the neck. The man grasped at his shirt with bloody fingers, crying for his wife. I stood there in shock, unable to move. Eve tried to move forward, but Stannon was much faster. With a sharp crack, he snapped the thrashing man's neck, letting him simply drop bonelessly to the ground. A silence hung in the room. "I did this because you would not listen." Stannon wiped the knives on the dead man's clothing and turned to leave. "You killed them, whether by my hand or yours." I stood there for a long time looking at the gruesome scene, unable to tear my eyes away from the carnage. Eve touched my shoulder. "Let's go. There is nothing to be done for them now." Moving slowly, I crossed the threshold into the pantry and started gathering up foodstuffs for travel. As we exited the lonely farmhouse, Stannon broke into a grin, seeing the heavy sack of assorted vegetables and grains. "You're not as stupid as I thought. You didn't forget what you went looking for. That's good." I turned away, unable to reply. There was no sense in leaving the food. The dead would have no use for it, and I still felt the pangs of hunger running through me. My stomach didn't care about the recent events, only being sated. "So that's it then? We just kill people when they have something we can take?" My words echoed strangely off the surrounding buildings. "Isn't that what you've learned these past days following me? Or have you intentionally remained blind?" Stannon said. "This is the way the world really works, lad. I take what I want and kill those who stand in my way. Simple as that. Don't pretend you don't know what I am." "But surely there was another way? There's no sense in needless killing." The words felt unsure on my tongue. "Why pay for something we can just take? There's too many wretches in this world as it is. They wouldn't know what to do with their lives if I gave them a map. Why should I care if I free a few of them from their miserable lives? I won't. I'll keep on killing." His face was neutral. No particular emotion showed on it. "Why did you really keep me alive?" My question went unanswered. Stannon simply turned and began moving towards the stables without another look back. "I won't share with that bloody bastard," I said. Eve placed a hand on my shoulder, but had nothing to say this time. It was a hollow threat. I could do nothing to stop Stannon. I could only follow along, hoping to learn something before it was too late. Something kept me from striking blindly out on my own. I wanted to know if he intended to keep his promise. Secretly, I wanted him to share with me knowledge that he had gained over the years. Any knowledge. I wanted it all. I followed Stannon's receding figure.